Host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke, joins me now for more on all of this. So, Galen, what do the latest polling averages tell you about these 7 states that are most likely to determine the presidency?
Absolutely, Diane. According to the averages, Harris and Trump are tied in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Nevada, while Trump has a very slim lead by about a point or two in North Carolina, Arizona, and Georgia. With a race this close, though, it shouldn't surprise us if either candidate ends up sweeping all 7 of the battleground states on election night. It could really, at this point, go either way.
The Trump campaign is also facing backlash right now over jokes about Latinos at his New York rally at Madison Square Garden. How critical is that demographic? And could this move the needle this close to the final votes?
Diane, it's absolutely critical. So from 2016 to 2020, Latino voters were the racial or ethnic group that swung the most within the electorate. And they swung 6 points towards Trump and have become an important part of any potential Trump winning coalition. And so if folks are offended by this, and of course there are 500,000 Puerto Rican voters in Pennsylvania alone, it could do some damage. I want to make another point, though, which is looking at some polling from Equis Research, which focuses on Latino voters. They asked Latino voters, which candidate do you think cares more about people like you? And 60% of Latino respondents say Harris. But overall, the top line of, the choice between Harris and Trump in the election, Harris gets 55% of the support. So there's about a 5% of Latino voters out there who say, Harris cares more about people like me, but because of things like the economy, I might vote for Trump. That's the 5% that I'm looking at. People who think that Harris cares more about people like them and are maybe suspect of Trump's rhetoric when it comes to Latino voters.
Meanwhile, more than 47 million people have already voted early. What is that data telling you about the state of this race?
This is tricky, Diane, because we're seeing a lot of people vote early, and more Republicans than in 2020, because in 2020, Trump was discouraging folks from voting early. And so if we see changes in patterns, I don't know that we can necessarily conclude that that tells us something about who will ultimately win the election. Early vote is most sort of predictive, if you will, when you have all of the early vote tallied, and we'll only have that the day before Election Day. Perhaps then we can make something of it, but we are seeing changing patterns in voting between the pandemic era of 2020 and now, so we have to slow our roll a little bit before we come to any broad conclusions.
All right, Galen playing it safe, fine. Oh, host of the 538 Politics podcast, Galen Druke, always careful with his data. Galen, thank you.
Thank you.